Every morning on my way to school, I drive past Ted Rhodes golf course. I sometimes wonder about the man that the golf course is named after. After much deliberation and thought, I decided that I would do more than just wonder. I decided to look into the man behind the name of the golf course. I started by going to my high school library to hopefully find out more about Ted Rhodes' story. This, however, wasn't quite good enough for me. I really wanted to know what kind of man he was. Therefore, I decided to take a trip to the golf course itself to see if anybody there knew who Ted Rhodes was. Sadly, a majority of the golfers there did not know anything about the man that the very place they were playing at was named after. Luckily though, I found a very nice man by the name of William Hamer. He actually knew Ted Rhodes personally and was taught golf by Ted Rhodes. He also traveled with Ted Rhodes across the country playing in many golf tournaments. He informed me about how Ted Rhodes had a daughter, Peggy Rhodes White, and how she founded a foundation named after her father. I decided to try to contact her. After some research, I managed to contact her, but because she is currently living in Chicago, I was unable to actually sit down with her and have a face-to-face interview. However, I did manage to set up a phone interview with her. I had a great conversation with her about her father, and I learned much about him and how he changed many things in the sport of golf. I learned much about Ted Rhodes on my journey. This is what I discovered. Theodore, or usually known as Ted Rhodes, was a very influential man in the role of African Americans in the sport of golf. He was born on November 9, 1913 in Nashville, Tennessee. In his childhood, Ted Rhodes aspired to be a great golfer. In the era of racism and segregation, especially in golf, this dream was a very ambitious one. He learned how to play golf in his teenage years while working as a caddy at the Belle Meade and Richland golf course. He practiced golf anytime he could with the other caddies, or he practiced by hitting golf balls at local parks. Through this hard work and training, he mastered the sport of golf. Some said that he knew all of his shots before he even got to the course. Ted Rhodes was not only a great golfer, but he was also a great teacher of the game. I found this out with the interview I had with his daughter Peggy.
He was a golf coach and a golf teacher to such notables as boxer Joe Louis and tennis player Althea Gibson, Lee Elder, who, as you may or may not know, was the first African-American golfer to play in the Masters.
Mr. Hamer, in fact, actually learned a few things from Ted Rhodes himself.
I've lived in Nashville all my life. I learned to play golf when I was 10, and by the time I was 16, I was already playing scratch golf. But I was taking lessons from the likes of Ted Rhodes and Joe Hampton, who were excellent teachers and good players. So just being around the golf course day in, day out, I was able to absorb a lot of knowledge.
After teaching the heavyweight boxing champ Joe Louis actually decided to sponsor Ted Rhodes in his golfing career. This relationship with Louis lasted throughout Ted Rhodes' life. Ted Rhodes went on and dominated the UGA, the United Golfers Association, a golf league formed for African Americans.
He won over 150 tournaments in the UGA, and that's United Golf Association, and it's was like the Negro League of baseball.
In 1948, Rhodes became recognized as the first ever African American professional golfer. That same year, I was told by Mr. Hamer, was when Joe Louis and Ted Rhodes together were part of a coalition of people who sued the PGA for their white-only rules.
It's my understanding that he was just a part of a coalition, but Dr. Kerry Milikoff was spearheaded it. Yeah. And Joe Louis, by him being so famous, it kind of helped push things along. Plus, they didn't want to get in the ring with Joe Louis. They was hoping that a fight wouldn't break out.
The PGA got around this by changing its policy to an invitational only, in which the PGA only invited whites to their tournaments. Ted Rhodes and several other African Americans, like golfer Lee Elders, fought this. Ted's legacy of fighting racism and segregation continues on today through the Ted Rhodes Foundation.
Because he was the kind of person who was always helping others, wanting to teach others. He was kind, gentle, and compassionate, and always had the willingness to be of assistance to others. He was a fighter in what he believed in. He never gave up, persistent and passionate about accomplishing his dream.
At the end of my journey, I've learned many great things about Ted Rhodes. Now, as I drive past the golf course, I think about the man that changed the sport of golf forever.